Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the Fellowship of Geeks live webcast for January 29th, 2013. My name is Thomas Chick, and joining us via Google Hangout is Mike Marlowe.
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
And our special guest tonight is Stephen Haberman. Did I pronounce that right?
It's Haberman, actually, but
Haberman.
that's all right.
I knew I was going to mess it up.
What I'm going to try and do during this hangout is stay completely still. And you'll barely tell that my mouth is moving.
Stephen, in his other job, is a ventriloquist.
Oh, this is good. This is a great start. This is going to be fun tonight. Stephen is the marketing manager for Zenescope Entertainment.
That is correct.
I'm sorry?
That is correct.
Yay! I got it right. Winning the first try. Yay for my side. As y'all might notice, we are shorthanded two guys tonight. Les Webster, my partner in crime, is who's usually here, is not with us.
He's under the weather.
He's under the weather, but I have talked to him, and he will be back with us for our off-topic show next week. And our other partner in crime, James Pickering, from the website Galaxy Call Dallas, is taking some personal time with the family. They're doing a little traveling. James and Carolyn and Lily, safe travels. We miss you and hope y'all are having a good time, and we'll see you when you see you. So tonight we want to talk a little bit to Stephen a little bit what's going on with Zenescope, and just some questions about just kind of talk about the industry, the company, and then well, first off, how does one become a marketing manager for a comic book publisher?
Well, I guess you've come to the right place. I would say that I have taken a very unique road to my job and to Zenescope Entertainment. I did not get a degree in marketing. I was not a business guy, and I am not a creative person when it comes to art. I can't draw. I was more of a theater person when it came to performance and things like that. But I graduated college in 2008. I moved into higher education, where I was recruiting for colleges and helping them find students for their new school for the schools. And 2 years ago, I just decided, after getting married, my wife and I decided we were going to focus in on what we were really passionate about. And I chose to really focus in on journalism and social media management, community management, really connecting to the entertainment community. I'm a huge gamer. I've been doing that all my life. I love movies. I do collect comics. And after about a year and a half of doing freelance video game journalism as a freelance guides writer, and I did coverage for xblafans.com and some freelance guides for IGN, I came across in a job, I was a career services manager at the time. I was helping students find jobs after school, and I came across the Zenescope job. They were looking for a passionate person who was interested in, championing the brand of Zenescope Entertainment through social media and through the media itself. And I walked in or gave them a call and said, I've got a perfect person for this job you've got open. And they said, oh, who is it? And I said, me.
That actually works. I mean, come on.
Well, you got to get through the interview process as well. And I was very lucky to find it at the right time. But they really needed, Zenescope Entertainment had never really had a champion, a vocal member of the team that his job was it to spread the word about Zenescope Entertainment. We have our the company is really designed on the writers, co-founders of the company, Ralph and Joe. Excuse me. They created the company, and they've been writing Grim Fairy Tales and all the Grim Fairy Tales presents, Piper and Inferno, Neverland, and then bringing on Raven Gregory to write Wonderland. They were the writers and they were doing the work, but they didn't have somebody working to tell the world. So when I joined, that was really my focus, was first to connect to the fans through social media and make sure that they knew that we were listening, that we were interested in what they had to say, and interested in giving them what they wanted. And then more focusing in on the media, the blogs, the independent websites, as well as the bigger guys, the Newsaramas, Bleeding Cools, IGNs, and comic book type sites.
All the way down to little guys like us.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, we found that we found a lot of fans and a lot of people that are in this industry and interested in comic books are very passionate, and a small site like this one can be something that grows to be very, very big if you've got the right people behind it. You see so many people pop up, make a blog and create a website, and sometimes they get to the point and then they say, all right, I've made it, I've done everything I wanted to do, and it's not succeeding. I'm not IGN yet. I'm not one of these huge websites yet, so I don't know what else I can do. But the smaller sites are really where we're finding a lot of our fans are reading, are being very, very aggressive in contacting the sites and seeing our support, and we appreciate the support everywhere. We're a 7-year-old. Zenescope is a 7-year-old company, so it's not like we've been around a long time. So I think Joe and Ralph, they know very much what it's like to be the little guys, and they appreciate that, and that's why it's always been a focus of the company to stay very close and connected to the fan base, while still being able to, make some bigger headlines.
Right. Well, speaking about headlines, nice little segue. I know, I'm so good.
Segue.
He's served it up beautifully for him, Steven.
I was joking that I wanted to have, when we did a YouTube, basically a video series, but it was fan service. We just wanted our fans to see inside the doors of Zenescope Entertainment, and I joked that every time we did a segue from scene to scene, I wanted to have like Raven Gregory, our writer, riding around on the Segway, just like drive by and say Segway. I don't know if he would have done that, but I think it would have been pretty funny.
Oh, it would have been very funny. Recently, y'all announced the Unleashed event that's coming. Is it late spring and early summer? Is that?
Yeah. It's going to be April to September.
Okay.
Ooh, a big one.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool, and I noticed that y'all are introducing a new old character. It's going to be Zenescope's take of Van Helsing. Which
please don't do what Stephen Summers did. Oh my God.
No, we're not going to boil it in acid and ruin it.
Okay. Thank you.
What, you didn't like the movie Van Helsing there, Mike? Stephen already knew the answer to that, so that's why I asked. Sorry. Anyway.
So what can you tell us about it?
Well, let's see. I've actually have the outline of the whole series right in front of me. We're working on, character profiles and things like that to prepare our fans to, meet these characters. What I can say is that Van Helsing is maybe just getting introduced to the Zenescope line of comics, and she may be just getting introduced into the world of Grim Fairy Tales. But she is a character that is going to come in feeling like she's always been there, come in feeling like she has a past in that world, and definitely that she has a future. Van Helsing will be one of the focused hunters in its own miniseries. Grim Fairy Tales presents Unleashed the Hunters, and also throughout the Grim Fairy Tales Unleashed event. We're excited because she's got a past and has a connection with Sela. She's going to be a strong female leader, and she's got a bit of a steampunk vibe to her in the original designs. So we're excited to see kind of what weapons she has at her arsenal, and how many vampires, werewolves, zombies, and demons she's going to rip apart.
Sounds cool. Sounds very cool.
Mm.
And this is...
Ready, bring it on.
I'm sorry?
I'm ready, bring it on.
And this is encompassing, what was it, 24 books?
Yeah, it's going to be 24 issues across the entire event. We're not calling it really a crossover because it isn't going to be going all over the place. You're not going to see Wonderland and Fly and The Waking and all our other comics get into the fold. It's going to be Grim Fairy Tales focused, but it has enormous effects on the Grimm universe. Sela has been a staple for our company ever since the very beginning. She was in Grim Fairy Tales issue 2 and is now the woman of our series. So we have the way Unleashed is broken down. We have Unleashed, the main story arc, issue 0 through 6. And then we have 4 miniseries that will star the creatures of the Unleashed, the classic monsters. So you get more in depth with how they're broken down, how we define zombies, vampires, werewolves, demons in Grim Fairy Tales, and who is going to be able to try and stop them, which is the Hunters. All the creatures will be about a 3-part series, 3 issues, and the Hunters will be a 5-issue series. So you got 4 3-issue series, 1 5-issue series, and then the Unleashed, of course, main arc, which is 6 issues.
Definitely cool.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm ready for it. It sounds like an interesting little event here. Although I don't like using the word event, but I guess it is really.
We understand. We because Marvel does them every other year and things like that. It's some fans feel like what is this really going to do? Does this have any actual effect on the world? But when you think about Grim Fairy Tales, the one thing you're thinking about is the fairy tale characters, perfect spins on fairy tale characters, and that's cool. And it's been going great for us, and we're very proud of Grim Fairy Tales. But just imagine, what if Grim Fairy Tales characters are fighting classic monsters? And that's really this opportunity to bring an entire genre of the horror genre into a horror comic book. So we're really excited to see, not only what Unleashed is going to do for the population of the Grimm universe, but also what it's going to mean for the future of Grim Fairy Tales.
Yeah, how it's going to open up some avenues you haven't pursued yet.
Exactly.
Definitely. I know that you had teased it on one of the earlier emails you had sent me, but today it was formally presented in the March solicitations, the one-shot Red Riding Hood versus Robin Hood, which when I first saw it, I was like, oh, yeah. The only problem with it is it's a one-shot. But, hey, if it's popular, y'all do another one. I know that. So, Where did that idea come from? Because it seems like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, I think when we first started talking about Robin Hood last year,
Yeah.
before we even introduced her, we had only just started to work with Pat Shan, the writer on Robin Hood, and he had really he cut his teeth on some of the annuals and dealt with Grim Universe Zero, and we really realized that Pat was going to be the type of writer and the type of kind of star for that miniseries and for that character. So when we announced not only were we bringing Pat Shand in as an exclusive writer, but that he would be handling Robin Hood, the most excited person was of course Pat, and to be able to not only bring the Robin Hood story to life, but to bring a female Robin Hood into the realm of the Grimm fairy tales with his own spin and his own story. He really did a great job. I actually have Robin Hood 5 on my desk right now, so I think it's 5. 4 or 5. I think it's 5. But anyways, that should be coming out in a few weeks, and the miniseries will be over. But as I said, one of our biggest focus in the past year was to connect with the fan base, and the fans have been screaming for more Robin Hood. So Robin Hood versus Red Riding Hood worked out really well because Pat not only wrote the Grimm Fairy Tales Presents Robin Hood, but he wrote the Grimm universe that focused on Red Riding Hood. And while we were doing Robin Hood, we were also doing Grimm Fairy Tales Presents Bad Girls, written by Joey Esposito from IGN. So we were building and building on Robin Hood and Red Riding Hood at the same time, and we just finally realized, wouldn't it be great to see these two, cross paths? So Bad Girls was a focus, a way to bring our women together, and mostly our evil women together. But this one is more focused in on these two iconic characters from the Grimm Fairy Tales universe.
Awesome. Well, like I said, when I first saw the teaser image, I was like, yeah, yeah, this needs to happen.
Well, that is always the hope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, I enjoyed both the Bad Girls run and Robin Hood.
Oh, Robin Hood.
I am very
Robin
much
Hood
looking forward. Yeah,
I
I agree with the masses. Robin Hood needs to stick around.
So we're glad you say that, and we also have definitely heard it. There will be more information about what else is happening with Robin Hood very soon.
Cool. Well, you know we'll be on it.
I know.
He knows, bunch of stalkers, I swear.
Well, I know if I say anything, if I tease anything or announce anything, it'll be on your site tomorrow. So I have to be very careful.
Oh, I understand.
Oh, dude, it's going out live now. I don't know what.
Well, that's
okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, but like we already said, this is a small website, so
It's true.
Another thing I want to applaud you guys on the all ages imprint Silver Dragons. I wish Les was here because one of his things he's been champion is getting new readers to read comics, and especially
Younger readers. And with the Silver Dragon imprint, and of course the Jurassic Strike Force 5, which is another, like, oh my God, why hadn't someone thought of that before? And it was such a great book. Is there going to be any more? Or is there going to be another series or a continuation? I know that y'all are planning to do other things, but
well, I can say that for those 10 people that read Jurassic Strike Force 5. Unfortunately, Jurassic Strike Force 5 is a favorite for our a small audience, and around the office we enjoy it. It's nice to have that type of story available to our fan base, and especially for all ages. We did push it pretty hard last year. And if you read it, you know that it hasn't ended yet. Jurassic Strike Force 5, Issue 5, did have to get postponed for the physical issue. We just didn't have enough sales to warrant completing the single issue run. We are going to complete the story. Issue 5 will come out as a standalone digital release, and the trade paperback will be collected this year. So Jurassic Strike Force 5 will be completed, and it was planned for as a mini series, a start to that world. And that's something that we as Zenescope have done quite a bit of. As a small company, it's very difficult to sustain large and numerous ongoing series.
Yeah.
So, as you'll see, Myths and Legends is ending on Myths and Legends 25, not for any reason but for story reasons that are leading into our event. It was a successful ongoing series, but we want to make sure that we are also keeping our focus on quality. We don't want to be publishing 4 mediocre ongoing series when we can publish 3 excellent ones. So that's ending. We did complete Charmed season 9 last year with issue number 24. There will be some future for Charmed. We can't really talk about it yet, but there'll be some future stuff there too. But Silver Dragon Books, we will have some more stuff coming out this year, and I think we're going to start by testing our products and our stories in the digital marketplace. So I think just announced today, we are going to be publishing, Thomasina's Human Zoo, I think is the name. It's going to be a creator-owned book from Pat Shand and the artist Sarah Pickles Dill. I don't know if that's a nickname or a real name. It came across my desk today. So Sarah Dill will be the artist on that. I believe that's going to be for a March digital release. And if successful story, it'll be collected in trade.
Well, I'm sorry to hear about Strike Force 5 because I enjoyed it, and I know that that was it last year or the year before's free comic book day offering? And
that was last year's free comic book.
Last year, okay, because that's when I first heard about it, and I was like, oh, this is a cool. Like I said, it's a no-brainer. It's dinosaurs in armor with laser weapons in vehicles. It's like that's the 10-year-old in me going, oh my god.
I gotta ask, did you see the toys?
I have not seen the toys.
I was just going to ask if there was toys, because this sounds like it's just built for toys.
Yes.
Last year at Toy Fair, so that was a little bit before, I think in February, we did unveil Jurassic Strike Force 5 prototype action figures. So I think you can find them on the Silver Dragon Facebook page or through Zenescope's Facebook page. So they do exist. There are images out there. We had a ton of interest from some of the bigger companies at both at Toy Fair and Licensing Expo for that series. So we really do want to collect it in trade so that we can get it out to more people, get it out to Scholastic. So maybe we can get more young fans involved with Silver Dragon books, and more comics in the hands of kids that aren't just superheroes and just violence.
Right. Well, it seems it seemed it was tailor made for y'all to expand it out to other things like the cartoons, the action figures, and that kind of stuff. It was just, you know, so kudos to whoever came up with that idea. I'm just sorry it didn't catch on, and it still may, especially if you collect it and all that, and I hope it will because it deserves it. It was such a great. It was a great idea, and it was it's a very good story. I definitely want to see it complete.
Oh, good. Well, President Joe Brusha and Ralph Tedesco are always are behind all of the decisions with the company when it comes to creative stories. Apart from a few of the concepts that have come from Raven Gregory, he had some creator-owned stories with The Waking, Fly, Irresistible this past year, Fly of the Fall, which is currently still being published. And Pat Shand will get opportunities this year to kind of tell his own stories. I can say since we're talking, Kitty, but also from Zenescope, I can tell you about a new series that we're going to start as a one-shot and then maybe continue later on this year. Grim Fairy Tales presents Realm Knights. Realm Knights is going to star Blake and Boulder. They are Sela's, basically male friends in the realm of Mist. And we're going to tell the stories of them and their antics as well as adventures throughout the Mist realm. You saw some of that in the Grim Fairy Tales giant-sized edition for 2012. You'll see a little bit more of them in Realm Knights written by Pat Shand. That's a story he's really excited to write because he looks a lot like Boulder, who's a very bearded dwarf. But we are quite proud, and we back his beard 100%.
Yeah, I'm sure you're behind it, yes. Don't think you want to be in front of it.
No, it's terrifying.
Mike, I know there was something you were wanting to ask. I forgot what it was. You remember what it was? Yes, I'm putting you on the spot.
Something specific? I mean, I can throw stuff in here. But,
well, I'm trying to get you involved because all you're doing is just sitting there and laugh.
I'm enjoying myself. What can I say? All right. I'll throw my 2 cents in.
Uh-oh.
All right, Stephen. Dun, dun, dun. No.
Now you're in trouble.
Okay, so you're let's focus this a little more on you than on the company.
Okay.
You are the PR guy.
Yep.
Tell us more about what exactly that entails. I mean, what kind of hats do you wear in a given day?
Oh God.
Stole my question. That was next on my list right here.
Well, good.
All right, well, good. Timing is everything.
To start off, I will say that Zenescope Entertainment, we are very excited to be now one of the top 10 comic book publishers in the industry, and it seemed like we held that spot very strong throughout 2012. I joined the company in late 2011, so what I know is this past year, and it was awesome. Over the course of this past year, I've been everything that Zenescope's needed me to be. As much as we are a top 10 comic book publisher, we are a very small company. There's not a lot of us in the office. We have, a small sales team, 2 graphic designers, 3 editors, 4 writers, and 2 warehouse guys. That's it. All of our, many of our, we have, like a colorist who's on hand, and of course our art director. But a lot of our artists are out of house. We hire a lot of freelancers. Same for some of our writers. They do some freelance writing as well. So, I I am the social media manager for this company. So I am the digital voice of Zenescope. Yes, I write all the PR, but I'm also the guy behind our Facebook, our Twitter, our Google Plus, our soon to be a little bit more active LinkedIn. I handle all of our social media. Um, I handle all of our contact with press, whether it be, I don't conduct all the interviews, but I am seeking them out on a daily basis, trying to get people to cover our products and to talk about Zenescope as a company and our licenses. Um, I am also the event coordinator for the company, so I do all of the travel planning. I book the hotels, I book the flights, I plan out where we're going over the course of the year, and I plan what we're going to bring to every show. When it comes to product, when it comes to how much, when it comes to who's going and who's going to be available for signings.
I was going to say, do you actually go to all the shows?
I don't go to all of them. Last year I went to quite a few to kind of learn about what to expect from each show, what a a small show at a hotel in Philadelphia is much different than WonderCon, which is nothing in comparison to San Diego Comic-Con and New York Comic-Con. So I had to learn, what to expect at each show, what our fans are expecting from us, and what we can do to be as successful as possible at every show. I did get to go to a lot this past year. I got to go to Canada for Fan Expo. I was at San Diego. I was at New York. We do a hometown show. We are Philadelphia area based, so Wizard World Philly is our home game. So that's very nice. We can drive to New York, so that's not too bad. San Diego is quite a hike,
Yeah.
but San Diego, it's a magical and terrifying experience.
I was about to ask you, was that your first experience at San Diego?
That was my first experience in San Diego.
I'm
As a
sorry.
freelance, yeah, as a freelance video game journalist, I was lucky enough to climb the ladder pretty quickly. So over the course of the year, I gained a lot more clout. I got to go to PAX East up in Boston, and the pinnacle was that I got to cover E3 in 2011.
Wow.
So I've been at pretty much every big industry show apart from CES when it comes to like video games as well as comics. But San Diego, as I said, I'm the event coordinator, but when I'm there, I am the manager of the booth. So, when people talk about all the things they got to see at San Diego and all the exclusives they got to buy and the thousands of booths they went to see, I saw one booth for a week. And the best part about that is I got to see tons and tons and tons of fans. That is really what my passion is about. I've always been a fan. I know how important it is for me to be able to connect to the brands that I love, to see them as both a friend and a connection for me, and in the end, let the creators know how much I love the product. So that's what's really been cool about the job is that I've been able to sit next to the fans as they meet the creators, sit next to the creators as they are thanked by the fans, hear and be a part of a company that is not, we're not Marvel, we're not DC, and we won't be. Those are different, very different companies, and we're not out to be them. We're out to be us, and we hope to always be the company that can have, the president of the company or one of our head writers sitting there at the booth just like everybody else that's working the booth, like the sales team, like the marketing manager, and just, be down to earth and be approachable. And I think that's been why we've been so successful, especially this past year.
Yeah,
So,
the fans definitely appreciate that kind of human touch thing. I mean, it's I don't the big boys don't I don't they're so far removed from it they can't possibly understand. But to get to meet an artist at a smaller show. I mean, I'm a big fan of the smaller shows. Honestly, I can't imagine ever going to San Diego because that's just madness. But I mean, to be able to, I mean, you can actually like walk up to a table and talk to the guy or the girl, whatever, and it's there's just a human factor there that's just huge, I think.
And just to clear up this common misconception, we do have some beautiful, beautiful cover art. Unfortunately, those women don't exist and do not work for us. So when you come to the booth and you see a lot of guys hanging around, Zenescope is a guys club. You know, we do have some great women working for the company too, but you know, we have a lot of guys working for the company. We do hire, you know, booth models for some shows, so you will get to meet some people that are dressed as our characters and trying to portray the role that has been so, you know, amazingly drawn by, you know, J. Scott Campbell and Ebass and Anthony Spey and, you know, a huge variety of other artists.
Yeah,
Do
actually,
fans actually come up to you and ask, hey, where's like the motto for Robin Hood or Sela or someone like that? Do they really?
Yeah, we do. As a company that's been growing, we used to. I believe before I was a part of the company, we used to hire girls for as many shows as we could. And as we've grown as a company, we understand the importance of that to, you know, help promote the company, but we also need to look at the bottom line for some of the shows. Like a perfect example is this year, for the first time in the company's history, we are going overseas, and we are going to be doing London Super Comic Con.
Cool.
And you know, that's very exciting for us. But you know, when it comes to what we're sending out there, we've got a couple guys. Thankfully, we have a few artists that we're going to have come out and sign. But you know, it's not going to be 20 people from Zenescope Entertainment out there, just because there's no way that we can afford that. So like that's, you know, like me as the guy that has to kind of handle the bills. I try to make sure people understand we want the fact that we're at that show is because we want to see you. We want to see you, the fan. And if we don't have something there, it's usually because we're just trying to make sure we can see as many people as possible. I think in 2010, we maybe went to 12 shows. In 2011, we went to 12 to 14. Last year, we went to 18. And this year, we're going to be doing 25.
Wow.
So we are running ourselves all across the nation to see our fans and thank them.
racking up some frequent flyer miles, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So
I'm
sorry. Go ahead.
No. Okay. What I was basically going to say is that I have got to see a lot of shows. I'll be back a little bit this year, so that I can support the people at the shows digitally, so I can promote it through our social media sites, connect with the press a little bit better. It's great to be on hand, especially at those big shows. I have to run people down to try and get press coverage at San Diego and New York. But when it comes to Wizard World show in a smaller area, or maybe I'm trying to think of another example, like Baltimore Comic Con, it's got maybe 10,000 people, but it's not a press event as much as the other ones are. So that I can just relax and be at the booth and meet new fans.
Well, what I was gonna say is, well, since y'all are going to London for the first time, I assume you're going over there too, just to make sure everything goes right, right?
No, I as much as I would love to, we're trying to make sure that show is about as tight as we can make it, so that it can be a success, so we can go back.
Right.
So I will not be going to London, unfortunately. I know tons of people will miss me, but I get to stay home and support them from a digital front. So I'm excited for the guys to be able to go out there. Our art director Anthony Spey is going to be out there, and we're going to be doing panels, doing signing, portfolio reviews. So there's going to be a lot going on out there.
Cool. That sounds great. Um, any chance of y'all coming to Dallas? I'm sure y'all do Austin. I know Zenescope did one of the Wizards a few years ago when it was based in Arlington, but any other possibility of coming back? Maybe not this year, but next year maybe.
Yeah, we're actually we're gonna release our official press official press release for our convention plans for 2013. We have it all over our Facebook page, but we are coming back to Austin. We were there last year. I actually I actually got stuck there because of Hurricane Sandy.
Oh yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, so when Hurricane Sandy hit, I was at Wizard World Austin, and I got interviewed by like the local NBC station, being like, "Hey, what are you doing down here in Austin?" Because of they had read on Twitter that I posted. I'm like, "Hey, I'm stuck down here because of the storm," and they came out and interviewed us, and basically we just said, like, "Hey, we just enjoyed the street." I'm trying to remember the main strip of road in Austin.
Austin is 6th Street.
6th Street,
Yeah.
Congress.
Oh, okay.
Is that what Congress? That's like more of a touristy road, maybe. But they had a lot of great food. I went to an authentic Austin boot shop. I tried on a couple hundred cowboy hats. I was definitely out of my element. But man, you guys threw an awesome party in what we would have been 5th or 6th Street. 5th Street, you said?
6th Street.
6th Street. Yeah, they were partying hard Friday and Saturday night. I think it was right around Halloween too. So
Oh wow, yeah.
that was a good time.
Got to be a little crazy.
Yeah.
I remember most of it.
But
All right.
go ahead.
Okay, all right. You mentioned the elephant in the room, so I'm going to go ahead and throw it back out here. Talk to us about the covers.
What do you mean?
Let's just say, and I'm gonna be kind of, well, I don't necessarily need to be diplomatic about it, but the covers for the Zenescope books tend to be noticeable in a crowd, as it were. There's got to be a plan. That can't possibly have been accidental. I can't imagine that there's somebody choosing each individual book cover, going, okay, no, let's go with this one. Let's go with this one. There's a plan there somewhere. What tell us about it?
Well, when it comes to the concept of our comics, we have always been focused on making sure that the covers are done by talented artists, either well-known artists in the industry or some up-and-coming talent that really needs the eyes on them because of what they're being able to do. And one of the things that we've been able to do as a company that some of our, even the bigger guys can't do is we can tell a story about strong female protagonists. And we can keep those comics selling strong in the comic book marketplace. We always hear about, the problems with Wonder Woman or the problems with Miss Marvel and these comics, these comics that just keep getting canceled that star these female protagonists. So we, when we built our company and when we were bringing out these characters, there's two reasons for our comic to be a strong female protagonist. One, we are telling those stories strongly. So when you open those books, you're getting an interesting and enticing story. But two, yes, we have a design for those covers that is sexy. It's something horror movies have done ever since there were horror movies. There's sex and gore seem to just tie in very well together. So for horror-themed comics, it makes perfect sense to have some sexy covers. So we have been known for having some of the sexiest covers in the industry. And in some cases, so much so that some comic book shops blush when they put our comic books up on the, up in their stores. But we've seen a lot more growth in actual comic book shops carrying our comics and putting them in their store shelves. We try to make sure that every comic has both maybe a cheesecake cover, a sexy cover, but also a cover that's a little bit more wall friendly. That allows for the fan bases who are interested in the comics and the covers that we've been publishing for 7 years to get what they want, while also allowing for others that haven't tried us out not to be turned off by that. But we're not apologetic about it. We've always been doing it, and it's always going to be a part of our business. Specifically when it comes to going to conventions and bringing exclusives to the shows. Ever since I've been a part of the company, our exclusives fly off the shelves. We sell out of everything, and we do it because our exclusives are actually limited. They're not a 1 in 10. They're, they're limited to 750, 500, 250, 100, or sometimes even less than that. And we're very, proud of that business plan. We're proud of the art that we're bringing together, and there's more for 2013. We do have a general theme every year for our exclusives to kind of wrap a banner around every exclusive that comes out in a year. And this year's theme is going to be women in the workplace. So it's going to allow for us to, have our characters, our fairy tale characters, in kind of real world situations on the covers. Of course, they'll still have that sex appeal that we all know and love. But it'll allow for you to see our characters in places you'd never see them. As the firefighters and doctors and nurses and so on and so forth. So you're going to see a lot of that this year. And we're even going to do some special variants for 2013 that we'll actually again be announcing very, very soon.
Cool.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I'm not complaining about the covers. I kind of was interested in what the I guess, for lack of a better term, business plan was behind it, and it makes a lot of sense when you
let me build on that. What kind of reaction in the little over here that you've been with the company? What kind of responses are you getting with? What kind of negative responses have you gotten about the covers? Are you hearing that kind of? Are you even hearing them at all?
Well, I mean, I'll tell you one funny story because really, I think it encapsulates the world, the world that we live in versus the industry we're in. But I was for Baltimore Comic-Con, we had to ship our exclusives directly to the hotel, directly from the printer. So I had to go to the front desk to pick up our exclusives. And I said, "Hi, I'm Steve Haberman. I'm in this room. I'm here to pick up a package for Zenescope Entertainment." And the woman behind the counter is like, "Oh, is that a box of books?" I'm like, "Yeah." "The box with the woman with the big gold titties on them?" I was like, "Yeah." I'm like, "I haven't seen the cover yet, but I'm gonna go ahead and say that that's ours." And she says, "I thought they were for the hotel. I was gonna start giving them out."
Whoa!
And after I nearly had a heart attack, and I was just like, "Well, I mean, you would have then owed us thousands of dollars." And she kind of took back, and she's like, "Well, what are these?" And I explained that these are exclusive variants for the show here in Baltimore. It's for the comic book convention in town, and they're the box that you're holding is the only ones in existence. And she was like, "Oh my, well, I'm glad I didn't do that." And she goes, "The art's beautiful, huh?" And I thought it'd be nice for other people to see this, but I didn't know exactly if it were fit for those with kids around. And like that's kind of the line. I think we aren't trying to be. Oh God, I hate to make this example, but we're not trying to be My Little Pony. That comic from IDW is it's for all ages. It's for 30 and 40-year-old men and women who watch that animated series and animated television cartoon programs, and the bronies of the world that enjoy that art style or those characters. Ours are not for kids. We have never published comics under Zenescope Entertainment that said all the kids to enjoy, and that's why we made Silver Dragon books. So I think I'm kind of talking around your question a little bit, but what I mean is that there are people that will look at our comics at a convention and walk by and laugh. They'll point and be like, "Oh, wow, do you see that?" But there's also people that look and point and then come and ask us, "What is this?" And then a simple, quick conversation about horror spins on classic fairy tales, and they want in. Also, the exclusives are, they're sexy women, and they add a sex appeal to the covers, but usually they're themed for the environment and for the, place we're in. For Wizard World Austin in 2012, we had an exclusive Texas Longhorn cheerleader on the cover. It's based off of one of our characters. It looks just like her, but she's in all of that garb because there's going to be some people that come by that are just Texas Longhorn fans. They're going to see that cover and think, "Ooh, what a cool souvenir, to bring home from this show." So that's really also what we're trying to do. We're trying to create something that's collectible, and that's why we have such low print runs on our exclusives. Something that is appealing to the environment we're in, both geekdom and just in the locale, and something that people are going to remember. And that's the best part, is that I've never gone to a show where I haven't felt like we've made a big splash in new fans and at least more awareness for Zenescope.
Well, like Mike said, we're not complaining, but I was just wondering if you had. I mean, I look at them and they're beautiful. They're beautiful cover. I figured you might have. The company may get some kind of.
Yeah, we get. I mean, there are some people that still they've never read our comics because they see the covers and they say, "Well, that's just cheesecake. Why would I want to read that?" But then we have an entire fan base of predominantly men. Yeah, the whole industry is a strong man, but we have an extremely strong female readership. Like, the women who are reading comic books want a strong female protagonist, and they're finding them in our books. So they're able to look past it's a little some tongue-in-cheek covers and some sexy covers to see that there is a story in there for them. So yeah, I'm sure there are still people out there that say they'll never read a Zenescope book because they think it's all cheesecake and they think it's all for the sex appeal, but it really isn't.
Yeah, and at some point, a friend of theirs will ask them about it, and they'll say, "No, I'm not going to do it because," and they're like, "Dude, just read it." And you know what? They'll be hooked because the stories are good, and the interior art is good, and and like you said, good, strong female characters, which is hard to find out there in the industry these days.
That is in demand. All you have to do is just go on the internet and read some of the blogs or some of the social media, and that's what some of the fans are screaming for. Is for strong female lead characters.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And and we're seeing, not only are we seeing in the comics, but we've got our series are starting to get picked up for television and movies. We had the Grim Fairy Tales animated.
I was going to bring that up.
Yep. See, we're all working off your same list. It's like we got it right in front of us.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the animated pilot, that was, we went out and try and pitch Grim Fairy Tales, an animated series, for years. And when I joined the company, I don't know if they already had the idea, but I saw how successful Kickstarter was becoming, and I thought, yeah, sure, if you've got an idea that you can't find the Hollywood backing for, or they're telling you it's not going to work, you ask the fans. And we had a pretty strong fan base at the time, but I would say we've grown significantly over the course of the year. And we just said, hey, fans, if you want this, here it is. It's expensive. It's just a pilot. And
you can shop a pilot. I mean,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
The whole deal. You get a pilot shot, and you can shop that sucker and take it around to the studios and see who bites.
And that is happening right now. We are right now going out there and shopping the Grim Fairy Tales animated pilot. But we've also, last year at San Diego, we got to announce that or was it at San Diego? I think, yeah, at San Diego, we were able to announce that Return to Wonderland was bought by Lionsgate. Return to Wonderland and the Wonderland trilogy was bought by Lionsgate TV to create a TV series, a live action television series. They're going to build the pilot. They're going to then send it out to the networks, and they're going to try and we're going to try to create a very comic focused and true to the dark, horrific, and gory world that we've created in a network television show. So that's another thing. We're pumped for that. And there's a couple more. We've had Piper in the works for years. Like 3 or 4 years they've been working on that, and that's starting to gain some ground. Grim Fairy Tales presents The Library. The Library is currently with Rat Entertainment. Brett Ratner. He's working with that to try and build that. Monster Hunter Survival Guide.
I was going to bring that up too.
Yeah,
announcing that.
We did announce that last year. The only change to that is that Dwayne The Rock Johnson is no longer connected to that movie. I don't know exactly what's happened there. I just know that he's no longer going to be a part of that. But yeah, and then we have other series that we are currently finalizing deals on, and plan to be announcing quite a few projects like this for 2013.
Awesome.
I love the live format.
Live internet TV.
I'm sorry, what happened?
All right.
My wife, she's watching the Storage Wars, and she's basically screaming. All right, maybe I'm overdoing it. She's saying, no, not screaming, but I guess which one is this one? Daryl just bought a locker with like $300,000 worth of art in it, and she was very excited for Daryl. So
understandable.
That is where I just went for a few minutes.
That's okay.
So I'm sorry. Where were we?
Where were we?
I'll throw another minor little question out here. It's somewhat unrelated. You said you were a big gamer. What are you playing right now? I mean, not right now, obviously, but.
Yes, I'm just in the middle of actually playing.
Mike's a big-time gamer.
Yeah, so I play every system, and I own every system but the 3DS because I just traded the 3DS in to get the Wii U. So right now I am playing Nintendo Land, Super Mario Wii U. I'm almost at the end of XCOM, Enemy Unknown on PS3, which is awesome.
I have heard good things about XCOM. I have not played it.
What else? I recently beat Assassin's Creed 3. I love the Assassin's Creed franchise, especially as a history buff, as we were talking about before the show. Assassin's Creed in American Revolution was just a perfect idea. And it has its faults, but it's an amazing game.
Mhm.
And then I play iPhone games. I'm playing. I was about to actually play Diablo 3 tonight. Then I remembered I had to get on this.
Sorry.
It's all right. I love Diablo. Is probably I grew up on PC gaming. My parents wouldn't let me have a system until I was in like high school, so I didn't get to play the old Nintendo, the Ataris, the Segas. I played them at friends' houses, but I never owned it. So the Nintendo Wii U for me, I had the Wii before I traded that in. I have all of my data from the Wii, so like all the Virtual Console games, all those classic games that everybody else got to experience, I'm experiencing now. Like I played them in the last couple years. Um, but yeah, that's really been what I've been focusing in on. On Steam, I bought Don't Starve beta. If you haven't played that yet, that's a survival, kind of like Minecraft, a very survival-y game where you've got to collect things to be able to live and not starve. But it was well made. I'm sure I'm underselling that one. My favorite game from last year, I would have to say, is probably Diablo 3 and XCOM: Enemy Unknown. XCOM is turn-based strategy RPG. It is sorry for the ums. It is constant. It's overkill. So like if you have a guy who dies in your mission, he is dead forever. So like yeah, I started naming my guys like my buddies, and then they all started dying. And I remember, like, the last time I did that was when I had Viva Pinata for the Xbox 360, and I named all the worms, and I didn't realize that the whole game was based on the food chain. So, like, every worm was going to be dead in, like, 5 minutes. So, like, you got all your favorite worms, and then all of a sudden the birds come, and they eat the worms, and then the hawks eat the birds, and just everything just kept getting killed in that game. And even though they were pinatas, it was a sad experience. So yeah, that's most of what I've been playing. XCOM, Diablo 3, and I'm messing with some betas. I'm in the Marvel Heroes beta right now, and I'm interested to see how that turns out. So what have you been playing?
Actually, Thomas kind of oversold me a bit. I'm more of a role playing. I'm more of a tabletop role playing gamer.
Okay.
I play D&D.
That's cool. I've not actually gotten into that. I've been told it's fun. I've definitely played some games like that. I get scratch that itch, like I play a lot of board games.
Yeah.
So my wife and I are currently playing Carcassonne and Settlers of Catan. What's that card game? Dominion.
Yeah.
So we're getting kind of into those.
If you don't, do you have an iPhone or an Android?
iPhone.
I do not know if it's on there. I know Android has an app which is basically the Dominion game. Just
Oh, really?
An app. Yeah. It's I think it's called Androminion. I have no idea if it's available for iPhone, but yeah, it's got like all the cards from the last time I checked, all of the supplements, and it's quite fun. If you don't have to deal with all of the deck shuffling and figuring out which decks you're using, it game goes a lot faster. You can play a whole game in like 7 or 8 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Yeah, I enjoy. Like the cards. I'm glad that they set up like the actual board game. They set up the box, so it's very easy to put stuff away and keep it very categorized and organized. I'm not an organized freak, but I do enjoy the fact that they made that so easy. So the game can still be enjoyed without having to be like, oh god, where did I put all these freaking cards?
It would take like an hour and a half to set up a game that lasts 20 minutes, and you're like, that's no fun.
Exactly.
You'd lose interest.
Exactly. Thomas, do you play anything yourself, or I heard you've got a little boy, so I imagine that's what.
No, actually, I'm the one.
No, actually,
you're the one with the boy.
Mike's the one with the little boy. I used to play role-playing games. I actually used to game with Mike, but I don't really do as much anymore.
You're busy doing this.
Yeah, well, yeah, I'm doing a lot of things with it.
There's,
A lot of things.
there's some work involved in the news site. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That takes up some time.
You said you're a comics reader. Is there any particular series that books that you're reading now that you collect?
I am proud to say that I was this past year I was actually on Comic Book Men, um, and I was buying Ninja Turtles. So
Awesome.
I'm collecting the new IDW Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and I actually went on the show on AMC to try and find a copy of Ninja Turtles #1, issue 1, first printing. Of course, I think he had like a third printing of it, so I ended up buying the first printings of 2, 3, and 4, which was a nice buy. But yeah, I collect a lot of the big guys. I collect Batman, I collect Walking Dead. I bought those in compendiums because I had not collected the single issues, and now I collect a lot of TMNT, Saga. I'm very much enjoying Saga so far,
Absolutely.
and yeah, and then like for Marvel, I collect Iron Man, and Thor, and I've started collecting Deadpool, but the first story arc has been disappointing. I have Cable versus Deadpool, like the 8 volumes of that, and that was amazing. I loved that. And I actually, in college, I jumped back into collecting comics when Civil War happened, from
Oh, I'm sorry.
Marvel. And oh man, like it was great to jump in that, and for me, I really enjoyed it.
Me personally, because Mike doesn't really read Marvel or DC. He does everybody else basically. Um, I was so excited about Civil War, and then as it just went on, I was really, really kind of getting disappointed. I don't know, maybe my sights were too high or what, but I didn't like how it was resolved. I'm not sure what my I can't put a finger on it, but it was so disappointing.
I could certainly understand that. Being someone that hadn't been reading comics prior, like that was pretty much all I was reading, so I didn't care. Like I didn't know. So I was just enjoying myself. Be like, oh, this is pretty cool. All these comic book guys bopping around. Um, but
Well,
actually, out of all of it, I enjoyed Frontline, Civil War Frontline, more than the actual regular series, because Frontline focused in on just like the newspaper guys and
right.
like one villain.
Well, I mean,
Most of the time.
I liked the idea and of kind of the what they were trying to do. This tragic event happens, and all of a sudden you got heroes on either side of the whole Hero Registration Act, and it's a great idea. I thought, oh wow, and then I don't know. I think, like I said, I think my sights were set too high, and they didn't meet it.
Sure, and I think you can definitely chime in here too. When it comes to DC Marvel, I think looking at DC and Marvel, you can really tell that they want to do bigger things and bigger stories and more, I guess, events that really affect the world. And Civil War was an interesting concept, but
Yeah.
I don't think Marvel and DC are small enough anymore to be able to do the things they want to do. They have to keep a status quo because in 2 or 3 years, any of those 12 main guys might have another movie coming out, which you got to support. Got to have another, a video game that might be coming out that's got a new story arc, might have a redesign, or might be relaunched. And so they seem to have to keep the status quo, whereas the indies, I think the indies have a better opportunity to try new things, to have more effective storytelling and be able to, drastically change the world in which they are creating for a better story.
Let me ask you this. As someone who's in the industry but also a comic book reader, and you're on the social media, regarding the stuff that's happened recently with a certain character for a certain company who is supposedly dead, and basically the feedback is, oh well, he'll be back in a year or so. What do you think when you read all of this? As a reader, as a reader, and as someone who's also in the industry.
Well, I'll tell you that when it comes to conceptualizing a story for, let's say, an ongoing, I can't imagine that when you launch an entire company on one concept, whether it be Skybound with Walking Dead, Stan Lee's concept of Spider-Man, and even us as Grim Fairy Tales, that you've written a story for 100 issues. There's no way. Unless you're, I guess Stan Lee now could, because he knows that he's going to be that successful. Or, probably same way with Robert Kirkman. But you have a concept and a world in which you want to create. And at a certain point, you get to a point where you've met all of the criteria that you wanted to create in your world, and you have to find reasons to mess with it. You've got to, as much as like those daytime soap operas, you have to create chaos.
Yeah, you have to have conflict, or you're not really going to have a story.
Exactly. And I think one of the things that I really ended up enjoying from reading a variety of stuff is that Spider-Man, I enjoyed Ultimate Spider-Man more than I ever expected, because a lot of what was coming out of that story was just seeing the day-to-day life, and I found that interesting. I didn't need these major battle scenes to tell a story. I liked just the world in which I was getting to read and getting to, be a part of. So when it comes to a company deciding to kill off a character, I think whoever killed off the first guy and brought him back is probably to blame for what is now a staple in the industry. Because it will sell a ton of comics for you to be able to say, this guy's going to die. And that's going to sell a lot of comics because everybody wants to have the comic that is the death of Superman, of Captain America, of Spider-Man, of whoever's going to die. And us as Zenescope Entertainment, we've done that too. We killed off Belinda in Grim Fairy Tales, and she's back. Only just recently. She was gone in, I think, Grim 50, or around that, and she came back in, I think it was our annual, or maybe Godstorm, but she's now back and part of our world. And I'm not the writers, so I can't tell you, when they killed her off, why they decided to do that. And I can't tell you what led us to say we have to bring her back. But I think for the fans, I can enjoy the story, the critical story of the death of a major character, and I want to experience what is the world like without him. But specifically what they did this year, Spider-Man's dead, and a week later, he's got a new comic out called Spider-Man, and I read the last issue of the Amazing Spider-Man 700.
Yeah.
Is that right? And I read Superior Spider-Man 1, and as much as I haven't read all the other comics, so I don't know everything that was happening up to it, I understand what they're telling, and it seems too far-fetched. It's really, if you're gonna kill off a guy, let's see the world without Spider-Man. I know I never read it, but I know there is a comic book out there about the world without Superman.
Oh yes.
And I would imagine that would be very interesting. And Superman kind of was on his own. So in Marvel, I imagine it might be more difficult to tell a story about a city that is missing its superhero when there are literally hundreds of other superheroes in that realm that could just pop up in that city. But I think it would have been interesting. I would have liked to read Spider-Man. Okay, Amazing Spider-Man 700 ends. He's dead. If you didn't read that, spoilers, it's too late. Sorry. Unfortunately, it's like a month ago, so it really is old news in this industry.
Yeah.
And that's what's so shocking is that now, think about when Superman died, or think about when Captain America died, or think about, years ago when the main characters just were killed. Like, there was an effect there. And, more importantly, there was an interest. People said, what did they do? Why are they doing this? Let's talk about it. And let's talk about it. Let's talk about it for months. Everyone's going to start hearing about it. And then later on, other people are going to hear about it. And then, word of mouth is going to spread. And everyone, in 6 months, everyone's going to be talking about the death of Superman. And we will have reached that many people. Nowadays, Spider-Man hit everywhere. Everybody, every news piece that I ever saw was talking about it, and they were talking about it for all of 48 hours.
Yeah.
See, but that's what social media gets you now. I mean, that 48 hours was the same month in word of mouth time from the past, because I mean everything just moves that much faster these days.
Yeah, but I guess the question I would pose to you two is, if you're going to make that decision as a company, so I'm talking to you from a company standpoint to you as fans and press. If we are going to make a decision that is story based, that is going to drastically affect our world, and is going to last a week, if we're going to get 1 billion people talking about it for 24 hours, do you feel it's worth it? And do you think that we feel it's worth it? Because I'd love to know what Marvel thinks of what they did.
Do you want to answer that first, Mike, or you want me to go ahead?
See, I'm biased because I've got the whole literary background going. I'm wanting the story. I want to see the story behind it, and I'm agreeing with Steven. I want to see the world without that character for a while. I don't know. The way they've done that, from what little I know about it, is I think it's a little more of a stretch than they may have thought it was when they originally planned it. I think it's a little too outside the usual superhero way of working. I mean, if you're talking about a sci-fi title, then yeah, you can pull mind-swapping type stuff. Again, spoiler alert. But I just don't. I don't know. It doesn't feel right to me in a supers setting. So I don't know. I don't know if I answered the question there. That's not unusual.
There's be a lot of that tonight.
That's all right. It works.
Here's my thing. I understand why they did it as a company, and if Zenescope did something, wants to kill off a character, they want to kill off Sela or something. God forbid if they do that. But if a story it's for story purposes only, and you're not doing it with the intention of, well, we'll bring her back, in a year. It'd be just this big event, and that right in the middle where everything just goes to hell in a handbasket, there she is to save the day. I have a problem with that because because the thing is it's happened so much that the hardcore fans, and especially the ones that are on social media, the one who's trying, who's talking about your books, are cynical now.
Right. The type, the one sending Dan Slott death threats.
Well, yeah, they're crazy too, but yeah. So,
Right.
but you can, Marvel hit big time saying yes, Spidey's dead, or Peter Parker's dead. We're moving on. This is permanent, and the fandom's going.
We don't believe you.
Yes, we don't believe you. There's a movie coming out in 2 more years. You're going to have Peter back in time for this, or less than 2 years, or something.
Yeah, if for no other reason than because you want to sell more books. You're going to put Peter Parker back in there because you want to be able to sell the books that lead up to the next movie.
And I understand a company wanting to do that because they're wanting to sell books. I understand that from the business side. I don't have a problem. I understand that. Don't like it. I understand it. The thing I have a problem with, that I'm fighting with myself, is they do it and they're out there defending the decision and all that, saying yeah, and it's permanent, because what they're trying to do is they're trying to continue interest in the books. They say, well, no, Peter's going to come back. No one's going to want to buy books. They're going to wait until it comes back. I understand that, but don't try to. I'm also saying, don't play me as a fool. I've been through this before. Y'all played this joke on me several times. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Well, we're not on twice. We're on.
It's like the 7th go round here.
At least that's where I have the problem with. I understand. Like I said, I totally understand what they're trying to do, but there's also a part of me that's like, I'm not an idiot here. Now, granted, they'll get the general public who are not as hardcore as me or others that are on the internet going, I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they did this, and they drum them interest. Like you said, this hit every news outlet on Earth, and that helped the sales. Congratulations, I understand. Great, but you see what I'm saying? I'm starting to ramble, and I do that a lot.
And I think where you're going with this is that it feels deceptive. It feels like they're trying to pull the wool over our eyes in order to sell books, and that's kind of not cool,
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
I'll jump in here and say, for us as a company, I don't know what we did to promote the death of Belinda, but I do know that we did very little to promote the return of Belinda. We did a little bit, basically through social media, and that was it. And now we're a smaller company, so we don't have hundreds of thousands of dollars to throw around promoting one story arc.
You don't have the power of the mouse behind you.
Yeah, we don't have millions upon millions of clicks coming at us, but the reason we brought her back was for story in our world. I think that for Spider-Man, there are currently how many Spider-Man titles currently being told? Like Amazing and Superior, and then Super and Ultimate Spider-Man, and there's always been a bunch of different Spider-Man stories.
Mm-hmm.
So I played a video game where it said that all of these are different realms. They're like different alternate universes, right? And the Ultimate Universe is not the same as the regular. The Avengers aren't the Ultimate Avengers.
Right.
So, guess what? You've got 5 Spider-Man titles written by 5 very talented artists or writers, and handled by 5 talented artists. Why don't we tell one that doesn't involve Spider-Man? Why don't we? There's 4 worlds. If you want to experience Spider-Man, go buy this, or this. But if you want to know what it's like to live in a world without Spider-Man, if you want to see who J. Jonah Jameson is picking on in The Office, if you want to know who Mary Jane is going to connect to and fall in love with after he's gone. If you want to know what the villains are going to do without any check to power, read this one. That would be a decision based on story. But what they did is they did 700. They killed him off, and I'm not going to go into all the rest because I want people to, if people want to read it, I want them to be able to. But they did the permanence. There wasn't any. there were I saw a story on Yahoo about what like celebrating the world and celebrating the stories that really defined Spider-Man, and I'm like, just give it like 5 more days. There's another comic coming, and you can just keep experiencing him. So, and then even with the decision that they made with Superior Spider-Man, is that Superior Spider-Man number 1?
Yeah.
With the decision they made in that book, they make a decision and they go all the way to the brink of it, and then they are too big a company to make that giant step. And that's what I think it is. It really is just a matter of, if they screw with the status quo too much, it's going to create a timeline or create a arc issue that's going to lead to problems when they want to get back to the movies and those things.
Continuity.
Exactly. That's the word I was trying to get to.
We've talked about that before on our show.
Yeah, it has been discussed several times.
I'll be honest, coming from a company, and I'm reading our comic books, and I know them well as someone who reads comic books, but I don't fully understand the continuity of every story because I'm not writing it, and I'm not studying it, and I'm not spending my every waking moment on it. So maybe Marvel has much bigger plans than what we've seen so far. I'll let it play out before I start writing scathing letters to Marvel, or I've already started reaching to their fans and saying, "Are you pissed? Well, maybe you should read some Grim Fairy Tale."
Good job. There you go.
Yeah. But I also feel like we are not Marvel's competition. We are 1% of this industry, and they are a third of it. We're not looking to cut into Marvel's people, because we aren't tights and capes. We are fairy tales, and we're adult fairy tales. Horror spins on classic fairy tales. We're telling stories that mature adults can read and enjoy. And I'm not saying mature and adult because it's pornographic or anything. I'm saying because it's not written for a 13-year-old. It's not written for a 9-year-old. It's written for an 18-year-old who wants to read a more gruesome and brutal tale.
More like the actual original fairy tales.
And that's what I keep hearing. I haven't read all 200 and some odd of them, but yes.
Yeah, they got kidified at some point throughout history. So
to be fair, I probably own most of them on Disney Blu-ray.
Right, and yeah, that's a lot of where they got
Kittyfied.
Kittyfied. I can't think of a real word for that, but yeah, that's as good a one as any. But yeah, originally when those tales were written down, they were horror stories for the most part. They were not kids' stories. So it's almost more of a return to the way the story should have been in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Makes it fun for me anyway.
Well, good.
Because I'm just geek enough to know that, so
And that's what we're hoping for. We're always hoping to create something that a fan base can not only get behind, but see depth in. We're not telling you not to read the original Grimm fairy tales or not to read other fairy tale books. We're proud of that. Go ahead, because you're just going to see different twists and different tales and different realms. Our books are nothing like Disney stuff. But if you like that and you want a totally different spin on what happened to Alice in Alice in Wonderland, man, it's cool to go from one to the other.
Right. Definitely.
That's good. I'm glad we're all in agreement here.
Hey, we're on the same page. There we go.
We do a lot of that on this show too.
No. Well, yeah. I guess
Sometimes it's hard to get discussions going because we all kind of agree on a lot of things.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to have. Yeah, it's kind of hard to have opposite viewpoints when we agree on just about everything.
Like that. It's like that one scene that they always have in the King of the Hill episodes where they're all standing in the backyard going, "Yup, yup,
Yep.
yup."
Okay, what do we do for the next hour and a half?
I was gonna say you must be called the Fellowship for a reason.
True. True.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
Well, Stephen, we appreciate you joining us tonight. You're more than welcome to join us anytime you want to discuss just comics in general, because we'll be more than happy to have you with us. And of course, if you want to drop a couple Zenescope bombshells for us to
scoop everybody else.
Yeah, let's have a scoop or two. Then that's we won't complain about that either.
Well, it's funny you should mention that. No, I've enjoyed myself, and I'll definitely do this again. Just so you guys have it, it doesn't hurt because we'll be releasing this press release this week. But we have, as I said, we have confirmed our convention schedule 2013. It's all on Facebook, so that's not really big news, but it will be going out to the press. One of the other big things is that we do a general theme for our convention exclusives. And this year, it's going to be women in the workplace. So our convention exclusives are going to be focused in on our characters being portrayed in the real world workplaces of America. Like working as nurses and doctors and firemen and things like that. So it's going to be kind of neat to see a fairy tale character and our characters in those real world situations. And that theme is usually designed to just be, a fan who is trying to collect them all, which honestly I wouldn't suggest because that's just a lot of money to spend. But if you're collecting a lot of them, what you'll see, that is the theme that you will see kind of carry throughout the year. And finally, something that we launched just this past weekend, we have a set of exclusives this year that is special for 2013 and never done before by the company. We're doing something called the Black Diamond Exclusives. This line of exclusives is going to be handled by the top talent that we've worked with. So you're going to be seeing some of the best art that we can put together coming out this year in this exclusive set. The set is designed to reward fans that decide to collect all of them. That's pretty much all I can say about what that means. And the first cover was unveiled at Amazing Arizona Con. It will be in the press release. You guys should see it by the end of this week. But it was basically Red Riding Hood in basically a twisted forest. She is scantily clad and on her way back to putting some clothes on, I guess. But the artist who did the cover is none other than Eric Batswalda.
Wow.
He's done a wide variety of covers for us, but he is just the pinnacle of the stuff we've done. These exclusives will come in. Yeah, these exclusives will come in two variants. It'll be a limited to 500 fully colored variant. This one done by Ebass and colored by Ni Rufino, so it is top of the line. And there will also be a limited to 100 extremely exclusive variant where it is a sketch cover. So it is the original pencils and inks of the cover done by Ebass.
Cool.
Awesome.
So there's going to be a little bit more information That's all I can really tell you. But hey, you're the first ones here.
Yay! Thank you. Thank you. And Stephen, thank you again for joining us tonight. And as I said earlier, you're more than welcome to join us anytime you want to. Just come on and talk about comics. Okay?
Great. Oh, this was a lot of. Excuse me.
Yeah,
This is a lot of fun.
Thanks for
Yeah, I
staying
can
up late
tell.
with us.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, I got to play some Diablo 3, so I'll be up much later.
There you go.
Okay. Well, we'll let you get to Diablo 3 then.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right,
Thank you very much, Stephen. Guys, we appreciate you joining us tonight. We'll be back next week for our off-topic show. Hopefully, Les and James will be with us. If not, then it'll be just Mike and me just trying to figure out what the hell to talk about.
Oh, we'll come up with something.
Oh, we usually do. So until then, thank y'all for joining us, and y'all take care, and good night.
There you go.
See ya.